And now let's continue discussing the effect of sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system on different involuntary organs. Okay, and we are now going to discuss the effect on exocrine glands. And the exocrine glands are the glands that secrete its contents through ducts into the body surface. And uh, endocrine glands are the glands that secrete their contents or secrete hormones into the blood. So we're going now to study or learn about the effect of sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems on exocrine glands. And we would start with lacrimal glands. Okay, so for the sympathetic nervous system, it has no effect on lacrimal glands. Okay, but parasympathetic nervous system increases the secretion of lacrimal glands. So we would expect that with parasympathetic nervous system, we would get more lacrimation, or we would get lacrimation with the activity of parasympathetic nervous system. Okay, and as a rule of thumb, parasympathetic nervous system always increases secretions. Okay, so parasympathetic nervous system is a system of secretion. When you have overactivity of parasympathetic nervous system, you have secretions increased all over your body. And when you have less activity of parasympathetic nervous system, or you have take drugs that lower the activity of parasympathetic nervous system, you would expect to have dry mouth and dry eye and so on. So you have less secretions in your body. Okay. Now, for the second type of glands, which is the salivary glands, we would find that sympathetic nervous system increases the secretion of salivary glands. So sympathetic nervous system had no effect on lacrimal glands, but it increases the secretion of salivary glands. Okay, and also parasympathetic nervous system increases the secretion of salivary glands. So both systems increases the secretion of salivary glands. But there is a very important thing we should know regarding this point. Sympathetic nervous system increases the secretion of salivary glands, but these secretions are thick viscid secretions. Again, these secretions are thick viscid secretions. And this is the reason why when you are in a fight, or when you are making exercise, or when you are afraid, you're in stress, you have dry mouth. Okay, because the secretion which is increased, the secretion of the salivary glands which is increased by sympathetic nervous system, is a thick viscid secretion, while parasympathetic nervous system increased secretions of salivary glands. The secretions are watery secretion. Okay, so both systems increases the secretion of salivary glands, but they differ in the type of secretion released. For the sympathetic nervous system, the secretion is thick viscid secretion, so you have a dry mouth, while for the parasympathetic nervous system, the secretion is watery secretion. And by looking at sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system, we can conclude that in almost or most of the times they are opposite to each other in the action. For the heart, sympathetic increases cardiac properties while parasympathetic decreases. For bronchi, there is bronchodilation in sympathetic and bronchoconstriction for parasympathetic, but for the salivary glands, they both increases secretion, but the difference is in the type of secretion. It is thick viscid secretion, making your mouth dry in sympathetic nervous system during stress and fight, And for parasympathetic nervous system, it's watery secretion. Okay. Now let's discuss sweat glands. Okay. And when you are in a fight or you are making exercise, you are sweating. So sympathetic nervous system increases the secretion of sweat glands. Okay. So sweat is more when you are during stress or in exercise. So sympathetic nervous system, and this is something physiological. Okay. You are increasing the secretion of sweat during exercise, during the sympathetic activity. Okay. But for parasympathetic, there is no effect on sweat glands. And this is very important to know that sweat glands is only innervated with sympathetic nervous system, and there is no parasympathetic innervation to the sweat glands. Okay. But we have learned that parasympathetic nervous system is the system of secretions. Okay. So we would find a very characteristic thing regarding sweat glands. Sweat glands are innervated by sympathetic only, because during sympathetic activity or during exercise you are making sweat, right? But the nerve or the sympathetic nerve supplying this sweat glands, since it's a secretion, these nerves, which are sympathetic in origin, they are releasing the neurotransmitter of parasympathetic nervous system, and this is the acetylcholine. So the sympathetic neurons supplying sweat glands releases acetylcholine, and this is very, very important. So for the exocrine glands, lacrimal glands, salivary glands, sweat glands. For lacrimal glands, parasympathetic increases secretion and sympathetic has no effect. For salivary glands, both in systems increases the secretion, but they differ in the type of secretion. It is thick viscid secretion for sympathetic, and for parasympathetic, it's watery secretion. For the sweat glands, there is no parasympathetic innervation to the sweat glands, so it has no effect on sweat glands, but sympathetic increases secretion and using acetylcholine as the neurotransmitter. The sympathetic neuron supplying sweat glands releases acetylcholine. Okay.